What's going on, everybody? Bobby Fi and Eric Sheetable. We're going to be talking through this baseball slate. We got a nice little two-gamer. I am playing. I don't know if I'm going to play the Yankees showdown one yet, but I'm definitely playing the Dodgers Mets showdown, and I'm playing the like 30 entries. You'd be so proud of me. I'm simming all over the place these days.
Look at you,
all over the sim streets.
That's it.
I haven't brought myself to enter them into some of the other tournaments for sports that I don't know at all, but I actually tried to run some stuff for it.
Okay, very good, very good.
So we'll see. But yeah, so again, look, it's a big day. We were just talking about it. We're close to our Dodgers Yankees. It's a big day for New York all around. You got the Mets, Yankees, and Jets playing today.
Yeah,
we'll be doing a 6:30 Eastern show. I did not have a good Sunday yesterday. I had a good showdown slate and I did okay on FanDuel, but I did not have a good overall day. How did you do yesterday? And then we'll get into that.
Same thing. I did actually okay in the bigger buy-in stuff. Like I cashed in some power sweeps and all that stuff, but nothing great. Hey, we got a decent performance out of the Drake May. I mean, that wasn't bad.
Yeah,
but some crazy results, and the 0.01% guy from Tampa, that was
that's crazy. And what's kind of irritating that we didn't. Look, it was a long shot thing that was going to happen, but they gave him a lot of the work. He is the bigger running back. I heard other shows talk about him, but
oh really?
Yeah, I actually heard because people were saying it was like with the Bears a couple weeks ago with Roshan Johnson. People played him a little bit just because there was speculation whether they were going to cut back the Swift's carries. So similar, it felt like a similar type of thing. I couldn't pull it to go over on a main slate, but maybe like a morning or afternoon, or the morning slate, I would have considered it if I would have thought about it a little more.
And it took a while, but what's his name finally got there? The chalky running back. What was his name?
Bucky, the same team.
Yeah. Took him a while, but he got there.
Yeah. It's pretty. It was a pretty weird day, and I felt like the Baltimore game played almost exactly like I thought, but the two turnovers in the red zone areas for both teams, it couldn't quite get the scoring and too many field goals from it was almost going to be that shootout that I needed because I had all of it, and including a bunch of Mark Andrews lineups who showed up a little bit. Anyway,
hey, he finally got there big time.
Yeah, I knew my day was done because I had Ertz and him double stacked in one of my 550 things, and it looked like it was going to be like the nuts because Ertz got tackled inside the one, which would have put him up there too. So they were just, and then I had the McLaurin and the Flowers with Lamar, but it just didn't quite get there. Anyway.
All right, so let me ask you. Let's talk about the two-game slate for a second.
I'll share my screen here if you want.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess here's my, rhetorical but non-rhetorical question. I guess. You have to play two pitchers in a two-game slate, right? I see Carlos Rodon at 80% ownership and Sean Manaea at 65. Yeah. Convince me why they both shouldn't be 100. You know what I mean? They're the only two that could go more than 5 innings.
But why do you need them to go? Because if no one does, then it doesn't matter. So
that's true. True.
I have a ton of. I have 35% of my lineups, including my biggest buy-in, have Rodon and a Dodger reliever.
Well, that's fine. But so what are you doing for the second pitcher then?
That's what I'm using, the Dodger reliever.
Oh, the Dodger relievers. Oh, I thought you meant I had Rodon and the Dodger hitters. Okay, so
no, like Hudson would be my favorite, but Kopech would be another one. Banda's now probably the only lefty we have, so he could end up with an inning 2/3 and end up getting the win if they played out right. And you literally might just want 10 fantasy points from your pitchers because this is not a good matchup for Rodon. First of all, Cleveland's a really, really good. They're good against lefties, and this is a terrible matchup for Manaea. But like I said, against the Dodgers, he's had a couple of unbelievable games, and he's had a couple where he's given up 10 runs in 2 innings. They're pretty familiar with him. Their OPS is 860 off of them and 150 at bats or whatever. I really think that Manaea is the one I want to be underweight on. And I just think you have to eat a lot of the Rodon, but I'm okay with going high on this Alex Cobb thing. Maybe 3 innings is good enough. You still need to play somebody. You know what I mean? I think it's worth speculating a little bit that maybe the Dodgers go to Landon Knack, although more you'd think they would probably stick with what worked last time. But maybe if somebody gives up a few runs, maybe Knack comes in and ends up pitching for 4 innings or something. So I'm exposed to that stuff. Go ahead, Chief.
So I'm currently with my builds right now. I'm kind of going a little along the way of what you were saying. But not really. Like my highest owned pitcher right now is Alex Cobb. Just the way everything's playing out. And I have, listen, I guess under the field Rodon at 50%, I suppose. And then I'm getting 40 of Manaea, but then I'm getting a decent. We're getting like 23% of the knack. Maybe that's too much. I don't know. You tell me what you think they're going to do with him. I mean, let's say he's pitching well. You know what I mean? Can he get 4 innings?
It's a good question.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I think so. I think it depends on the situation. I think if they're down 4-0, then he's pitching. Then they'll probably likely to leave him in there for more innings unless he got hit around. I think if they're tied 0-0, or 1-1 or 4-4 or 3-3 or whatever, he may not play. So,
well, isn't he starting?
Knack is not starting, no.
Oh, I thought he was.
No. They announced the bullpen game. It's who did they announce as the final opener by the end? They put Brazier as a starter.
Oh yeah, it says Knack projected along with you.
And just for what it's worth, the last time this came up in Game 4 against San Diego, Knack did not pitch at all.
And then I'm putting right now like 5% Daniel Hudson, as you had mentioned. He's the only reliever. Who else should I pick from the Dodgers? Or you like Kopech, right?
So yeah, I hand whittled some down. I have Hudson here. You can see in my early things at 25%. I actually just moved to like 5% Kopech, 5%. I do have some Tommy Conley or Canel. I can never pronounce it right. The Yankees reliever. I had some Brazier because he's only going to pitch probably 1 inning, but there's a chance he pitches 1 2/3 or maybe 2 if things go okay or if they go quickly. And then the other ones I'd mix in some Banda, but my favorites would be Hudson, Kopech, and Evan Phillips, for what it's worth.
Meanwhile, I was like, well, that's the way baseball works. But if Edman, that last at bat, if that ball drops and gets a single instead of the catcher, the second base, the center fielder getting it, I think I win both showdown slates.
Oh, that would have been amazing.
One of them I would have chopped for like 13,000.
Oh,
and the
man.
other one for like something else. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what ended up. I don't see what happened. What happened in the did anybody do anything in the top of the 9th or no? I
don't think so.
Okay.
I don't remember.
It's possible someone could have backdoored me in the top of the 9th too. But that Edman one, that was a very high leverage at bat. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't know that. That would have been. Yeah. I get much more. That's why I didn't play showdowns for the longest time because I didn't trust my tilting factor.
Oh, it's like the ultimate high leverage. Everybody was at like 2 points of each other. You know what I mean? So any event wins. You know, it's like
yeah, exactly.
What about are you playing FanDuel? And if so, which pitcher are you using?
So on FanDuel, I'm just using Rodon. I'm not playing. I'm going to go with a take when I have it. I say this every time he's pitched against the Dodgers. Every time, and it doesn't matter what size the slate, I'm going to stack the Dodgers against Minaya every single time.
Okay.
And by the way, Manaya's looked better than he's looked in forever, and it wouldn't surprise me if he came out of nowhere with an unbelievable game. It feels like the right time for it. The Dodgers have been playing a bunch lately, and he's rested. There is a chance, but I just personally am going to take the angle, especially because he's going to be so popular. I had to make some cuts somewhere, so I'm just going to not, I now have him down. He's in my actual builds now. He's at like 20. I have him like 27%, and I even have him with like 3 Dodgers in some of my lineups.
Okay, so here's the next question. It's a 2-part question. With respect to pinch hitters, or guys that are not scheduled to start, how many, if any, at all, would you use first of all in a 2-game slate, and then how many, if any, or who at all would you use in a showdown?
It's a really tough question because I don't particularly love that. Like when David Fry is going to be coming off the bench, if a righty's starting and he's only going to pitch an inning or 2 or something, David Fry I know is going to get in that game at some point against the lefty if they bring in the lefty. And I like David Fry as a hitter. I don't particularly love the bench options that you would use here. So I didn't find myself with any. Maybe I have 1 or 2, but I don't think so. I actually think I went away from it. I don't think you need to do it quite today. It's worked in a lot of these games with Cleveland and Detroit. My feeling is there's too many actual good hitters today to squeak through with a guy who just gets 1 or 2 at bats. So I'm going to try to go the other way. I guess Manzardo would be the main one. Maybe he would come in at 2,400 or whatever. So if there was one, that would be the guy, I guess.
All right. Now, with respect to showdown, again, why don't you go over again, at least the guys that you know, are likely to get in the game as for the Dodgers. So I think that's really important in showdown is to attempt to get that right.
Yeah, and it's going to depend on what happens in the first couple innings, to be honest.
Obviously, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, just because, but that's why I said there's not like if they go up 5-0 or 6-0, Knack may come in. Then if they're down 5-0 or 6-0, Knack might be in for the long haul. So that's one that you'd certainly use. This is what I've got in my as far as my exposures go. I actually think that there's enough hitting options that are cheap that you could actually build some lineups you like without any pitchers in the Mets Dodger game. And I also think that getting, again, Brazier's the one we know is going to pitch. Trinan is again, he's one that I got 10% of him, at 10% of Evan Phillips. I've got 20% of Daniel Hudson. Those would be the main ones for me. And I actually went in and put Anthony Banda in because he is probably the only lefty that we don't know really how okay our other lefty is. So Banda would be the only guy, although there's not a whole lot of Mets that you would want. Like the Mets don't have like an awesome group of lefties in a row. They're sort of spaced apart with Nimmo and Winker. And I don't think they're going to necessarily pinch hit for those guys anyway, but I don't know that they would. I'm wondering if they would even bring Banda in at some point, but they probably will.
It's a magnificent job in the base paths by Winker, by the way, yesterday.
What did he do? I missed it. I missed a few plays because I was going back and forth with football a little bit when it got.
He just like literally got himself caught between second and third for like.
I think I did see the highlight of it. But yeah, it's man, what a turn from Wednesday of last week, feeling like the season's over, to Dodgers are like all flying high.
Yep. They're twerking.
Yeah, and Mr. Don's asking what pitchers do you? All the pitchers are terrible. Like, I mean, except for Rodon makes the most sense to me. Logically, the natural pairing you'd play if you were playing cash would be Rodon and Minaya. I would personally like to get more Alex Cobb, who's probably only going to pitch 2 or 3 innings. I think there's an outside chance that Minaya might only pitch 2 or 3 innings, by the way. The only thing that I'm struggling with, Sheets, is that can I play Minaya with like 4 Dodgers?
Right.
Because you can potentially get like 6 strikeouts and give up 4 runs and still be the best scoring pitcher possibly.
Right.
And the Mets don't do the desperation thing. And if they want to, they'd go to Peterson, I guess. They want the long relief thing, but I don't think they're going to try and do that. That's not just the way that they haven't been doing the bullpen thing like everybody else has quite to that extent. I mean, they had to take out Senga yesterday because he literally was throwing out beach balls out there. But yeah, so it's going to be interesting. Pretty wild, the back-to-back games in LA with both with Ohtani, but then also you had the opposing pitcher being Japanese. It's like a whole infusion down there. It's wild. There's all the Dodger signs now are like translated into Japanese also. It's wild.
Did you go yesterday?
I didn't go yesterday. I went on Friday, and I'm going to go. I bought tickets for Game 7. If there's a Game 7, those advanced tickets. I didn't know you get refunded. What a great deal.
Of course.
I thought it was like a gamble. That's why they were cheap. I really did. I don't know why I wouldn't always do this if I can go to the game. So I did buy a potential Game 7 tickets, although my prediction is the Dodgers in 6, and my prediction is the Yankees in 6.
I don't know. This Cobb thing is it's troubling.
He could blow up all my lineups today. He'll still, no matter what he does the rest of his life, he's made me so much money for some reason as a pitcher. He has, we say that he may not be able to go. Like, it's not like he's incapable. He did come back from an injury, but I mean, he threw only 41 pitches in that game against Detroit, but that was like a must win. We're going to go use our bullpen, and he gave up 2 runs. If he's clean, he could end up pitching 5 innings tonight.
Yeah.
And the Yankees have strikeouts. Look, they're good. They're patient, but they do have strikeouts in their lineup. It's not like they don't strike out.
And you only need 10 points from your pitchers today.
You might not even need that. But I mean, that's why right now in my big buy-in on DraftKings, my second pitcher is Daniel Hudson. And that feels a little bit wrong, to be honest with you. Then you kind of need to thread the needle with, you have to have the Soto, Betts, and Ohtani all homer kind of the game, because that's who you're putting in your lineups. Jose Ramirez. But I specifically went out of my way to try to not get the 5-3 stacks. I just think I don't have proof of this, and I understand that the simulations know more than I do and all these things. It's just so hard for me to imagine why that would ever be the case with 2 games, why you should be everything 5-3. I just can't see why it makes any sense. The correlation is not powerful enough. I do think on FanDuel, which I actually am playing FanDuel a 2-game slate, I did get to a lot more of the 4-3s and 4-4s than I thought I was going to. But DraftKings, I like to do it a little different. Yeah, this is sort of my exposure for my runs. Will Smith's my highest owned player by a mile. I mean, these guys, they haven't, and look, it's a small sample size in general, but like as a team, they've just crushed him for what it's worth. Also, the flip side is he also has a decent strikeout rate against them. But I mean, the OPS at 859 with 5 of the guys in the lineup over 1,000, that's pretty rough. One of them only has 2 at bats, so I should take that one out. But yeah, Will Smith is 9 for 18, off of them with only 1 strikeout, which means he's obviously seeing the ball well. Freddie Freeman's 5 for 17. Mookie's 10 for 30 with 3 home runs, 2 triples, 2 doubles. He's had a pretty good hitting career off him. Yeah. And with no Chris Taylor in the lineup, that's an automatic. That's the thing is Chris Taylor. That's an automatic 3 strikeouts at least a game, maybe 4. If that didn't play him means we don't have the strikeout upside we did before. And my bold prediction is that Pages will hit a home run tonight.
Who?
Pages.
Okay.
I like this matchup for him. No, man, Don, I've sort of gotten away from running as many of the sims because I feel like at some point, if we're doing it every day, whenever people ask us to, like it starts to feel like, well, people have to use the product. You know what I mean? So I don't think I'm going to run one just now. I think that's fine. I really think that you could play anything today. You're asking about Smith, Pages, Teoscar with the Manaea. That's fine. That's the 3 Dodgers. I think is totally fine with the pitcher from the same team. I mean, from the opposing team. But I'm really. I know we don't have information yet, but I'm really struggling trying to build lineups for this football slate. Like, I wanted to build some of my own and then also run some through the thing. And it's like, it actually is not a bad FanDuel slate because there's like 6 guys who could easily be the highest scoring player at least. So you can't, Josh Allen's so obvious. Anyway, I'm trying to figure it out, but.
Yeah, I ran some stuff blind, you know what I mean, just to have something in my lineups. I literally didn't even look and see what they already had. I mean, I imagined that Josh Allen's going to be in some of them. It's like, Shakira's out, right?
We don't know for sure.
Okay.
At least I didn't as of an hour ago. Maybe it's happened in the last hour. Yeah, I haven't heard for sure. What a shame what happened to Hutchinson. That was brutal.
Now, this is obviously not at a different level, but pretty kind of a shame what happened to the Cowboys.
Well, good for but you know what? We kind of had a feeling that this Lions team is for real and that the Cowboys are really not for real. Which everybody knows they're not for real. They're just a joke.
Dude, and the Lions were piling it on.
But I didn't even think they were trying that hard. I just think they were so much. They looked like men amongst boys. Like it just looked like they.
Well, I mean, listen, it's fine by me, but they didn't need to run like the lineman optional up 40 points.
But you know why they did that?
Yeah, of course.
The playoff game last year. Yeah. It was pretty funny though. I thought.
It was.
I love that kind of stuff when they do that in football. But by the way, I know you didn't end up with the game, but do you feel comfortable now in the future using Zay Flowers with Lamar Jackson?
I ended up with like 24% of it.
I know, but you see what he did in the first half? He had like 10 catches for 100 yards.
He had 25 fantasy points in the first half.
And I know, he didn't touch the ball in the second half. I think they're the best. I really do. This is not a biased opinion. I think they're the best team in football. I mean, they've looked like so much better than everybody else, except maybe you could argue the Lions with Hutchinson, maybe. But I mean, they just had one stupid game against the Raiders. That was really, they just like forgot to win. They won the game and just forgot to actually end the game.
No, they made sure to wait until they were the highest owned Survivor team when they lost.
Oh my God, that's right. Oh, so Survivor's going good now. I feel like you're alive.
Yeah, doing nicely. Listen, this was actually kind of sneaky. Like everybody advanced this week, but I did really well because I faded Philly and I faded Baltimore, and I faded like Houston, and I got by anyway. You know, this way I can use those teams in the future. So
that's great.
That's the key.
Although I have to say, I actually so one of the bets, my buddy's a guy, he lives in Cleveland. But I bet Cleveland to win outright.
Oh my God, dude! If they had won, I mean, that was like the end of Survivor. Like I would have made like millions in equity.
Oh my God, it would have been everything.
They would totally could have won.
They were given the game. They just had Deshaun Watson at quarterback.
Yeah, I know.
Oh man, is he bad? But that defense it's probably going to be like the best defense to ever miss the playoffs. Like
that's a good way to put it. Actually.
They're awesome, and they have to be on the field all the time because the offense doesn't move the ball at all. This late definitely.
Was Amari Cooper even in the game?
Yeah, he had 4 catches and he was running routes. not very good ones apparently. There was a couple where Judy was wide open for a touchdown that Watson just like overthrew him by 10 yards. Like it looked like a kid.
What are they going to do with that? I mean, like
they have to play him because you can't sign someone for that much money and go through all the crap you went through for the moral stuff.
Yeah,
play the guy, which is crazy though because they could be competitive. And I honestly think that like if you throw Jameis Winston, I mean look what Joe Flacco does in Indianapolis.
Why is it always Jameis Winston? You know what I mean? Like he's
as a backup because he's weird, but he's like as talented as
anyone. Been calling for him for like 5 years now.
Because he's always the backup behind a guy he's probably better than. He's just a little kooky.
He's not better. He's just like a fantasy guy. Like
no. He's super talented. He's like there's a different version of him where he turned into Dak Prescott. I really think that. And Dak Prescott doesn't mean that great, but I mean a regular all-pro kind of a guy.
I'll tell you, I'm not saying it's the same thing, but that Cowboy game reminded me very vividly of a game that happened not before your time, pretty much before your time, but when the Bears were awesome and won the Super Bowl. It corresponded to the exact time that the Cowboys in like the Landry era was just like winding down and like they just had nothing left. Mm-hmm. And the Bears that season went into Dallas on like Monday some game and won like 40-0, like in Dallas, just basically signifying the changing of the guard. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what it felt like yesterday. Like if like the Lions go on to like win the Super Bowl or something like that, and the Cowboys ended up missing the playoffs and the whole team restructuring, like that's going to be the game that people remember.
Yep, I think that's very, very true. But I have to say, they've done it kind of 4 games in a row. I mean, they're the only team in history, right, to have 4 games in a row at home that they were down by 19 at home at least.
I heard, something
that's
like
crazy to me. I can't believe you get no teams. But what's weird is early in the season there was the one against New Orleans. That game wasn't over. It was like midway through the third quarter. They were down. They were down. I think like 24 or something like that. And they took everybody out then. And I was like, that seems so weird to me. Like, and now they had guys in down 40.
Hey, I tell you, else who looked pretty okay was the Rattler.
Yeah, I actually thought he played I actually think I'm a buyer on him. I am. I think he's good. He's not a dump down guy. He wants to go for it. And he was going to need to in that kind of a weird game environment. The way that it started off, they were down 21.
That was a crazy game. That was a crazy
they went 21 unanswered, then 24 unanswered, then 30 unanswered. The other way. That might not have happened before. All right. I think I'm pretty ready for the baseball. I'm just going to have to figure out what the hell to do with this basketball. I'm sorry, with the football.
Well, we'll deal with it later.
Yeah.
What time does everything start today? First of all, what time does the Dodger game start?
Starts in 40 minutes.
That's the first game. Okay. So the Dodger game will maybe be over, maybe not. But
we'll see. It's 6:30. We're trying to do it, but hopefully I'll just have it on the back screen or whatever.
Okay.
But I'm pretty pumped up about it.
You can always do it at 7:30. I mean, if the game takes a while.
The problem is then we just sort of run into everybody else's shows, and I think that we sort of
everybody else.
No, I know, but it's fun to like have like more people and stuff. But yeah, maybe. I mean, we can always change our minds if we want to. We'll just have to. I'll just let Brandon know or whatever. But I think 6:30 is kind of a fun time.
That's cool, and you'll be able to sweat the game. That's fine.
Yeah, and you'll be a minute ahead of me. You'll be a pitch ahead of me every time.
Yeah, maybe not this time. Let's see.
I hope not. I want to really be watching live, and now I know I'm never watching anything live, so I don't even celebrate ever. Oh man, I thought Rhodey was gonna what a start for that stack, by the way, yesterday. That Green Bay.
Yeah, he was winning, right? At some point.
I had like 5% of it, but I had literally Dobbs and Reed in all of my lineups. So it looked like it was going to be a big thing, but none. The Arizona just couldn't do anything on their side of it. And Harrison, I had running back, and he got hurt, and then they didn't use Connor and whatever.
What do you think of the football game tonight, by the way, in general?
My instinct feels like I think the Bills. I actually think that I've been saying this all year that the Bills are a little bit fraudulent, and Josh Allen makes up for a lot of that. But that's sort of how I feel. I don't feel like Aaron Rodgers makes up for a lot of it, but I feel like the Jets are a little bit. Their defense is legitimate, but I don't trust them as like a really good football team. So these are two very similar teams to me. I think it's going to be close, and I want to say the under, but I honestly have a really hard time figuring this one out. I think they're both I think they both might have trouble moving the ball.
Well, it's a weird spot, right? Because the first time with the whole new coaching staff and the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's.
You know what?
They're just going to say, okay, Aaron Rodgers, we fired the coach like you probably wanted us to. Now
go. Yeah. And I think that means we see a little more Mike Williams plays tonight.
I think well, and probably like 700 targets for Allen Lazard.
For Lazard, will they go look? But I think they want to keep Wilson happy, so I don't know how that's gonna work. But I think that Williams is the guy tonight. I think he's
I think that you know what? I don't think he's got highly owned either. So
he's not going to be highly owned, and all of the Bills D-backs are super young. There's some talent there, but they're so young you can beat them over the top, and I think that's exactly what's going to happen. Maybe it'll be Xavier Gibson instead. Who knows? All right, so I'll see you in a few hours, and hopefully, for me, my Dodgers are victorious. But you can't lose in that series anyway, because
no,
I know you'll be happy if we play the Yankees, but I know that you'll be happy if the Mets win too. So
the only thing, if it comes in freaking Dodgers Cleveland, there will be no joy in Mudville.
Yeah, that would be weird.
Yeah.
I think the Mets and Cleveland would be the series. No one.
That's a nut low. The Mets Cleveland.
Yeah. The Yankees should win that series. They dominate that division. They dominate the Indians in general. Let me just take a quick look at something really quick before I look at. I want to see what Rodon's BVP is again. He hasn't had as much as I thought. He's only really faced Jose Ramirez, and he's faced him a bunch.
These guys all know each other, I think, at this point.
Yeah, but they don't like, you know what I mean? The guys who was it? Darvish, and he pitched great against the Dodgers in this series. But I was looking at, he had like 380 plate appearances against him. That's a huge, huge sample size. And he's dominated them. He's completely owned them. But all it took was, it's pretty easy to win games when you don't give up a run. You see, they broke the record.
What happened?
They broke the record for most consecutive. They've shut out 33 innings in a row. The Dodgers. It's hard to lose when you do that.
Man.
33. All right. I'm going to go.